Hello, beautiful people. I'm Chris Maddox, founder of the Wild Woman Project and Wild Woman Fest, and I'm speaking to you today because we always meet like this at new moon time. And the final new moon of the year arrives on December 14th. So we will start the moon cycle in 2020 and we will end the moon cycle in 2021. And in that time frame, we will have the winter solstice, which, as wild women, we're always looking to the natural world for our teachings, for our guidance. And in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the darkest day of the year. It comes on December 21st. And it invites in, if we let it, this contemplation, this sort of living teaching of what is darkness, what does it offer, and how is it different from its opposite, light. So those of us who are have a particular resonance with the wild woman archetype, and who really believe it and calling the wild woman archetype into our consciousness and letting it really be a driving force, one of the marks of the wild woman archetype is the true ability to sit in the darkness, that is, in the mystery, in the unknown, death, birth, being in the womb is like a kind of darkness. And so I think, the wild woman archetype, if we tap into her frequency, she is actually comfortable in the darkness. She understands the fundamental reality that darkness is part of life. So you cannot have night without day, dark without light, vice versa, right? So this season, this moon cycle, we can really embrace the darkness. I think it's a good time to do so because the times that we're living through, like this hell of a year that we've been through, and this historical challenge that we are all holding and living through together of this global pandemic, and all the things, all the reverberations of it, all of the ways in which it's changed and touched our life. We're at a certain part of the process where the shock has, for the most part, worn off. And we can actually, at this point, it's like you can almost begin to imagine what lies on the other side of this experience. And you can remember back what it was like before. And so at this point in the process, we really are sort of still in the womb of the experience. It's not over yet. We're sitting in the mystery, and we can be sitting and wait. We can be sitting in fear, or we can cultivate our inner vision and the inner life. So if you think of it like a tree in winter, it shed all of its leaves already, and its energy goes down way into the roots, and the work that it does in the winter is underneath, in and down And so we can learn a lot from that at this time where there's less action and activity, less outward light, we can use this time to anchor our awareness in and down. We can process a lot in winter. We can reflect a lot in winter. And we can be in constant and steady relationship to our inner guidance. Because this transformative process that we are all collectively in, we're in, we are making a new world, a new way of being. And that the co-creative process of that can lead us in so many directions. So those of us who are really here to be of service, those of us who are really here to really stand for love on the personal level, love on the collective and institutional level, we are here. We have the ability to really help to shape whatever it is we will make from this experience. And it's not going to be like one person coming in being like, this is what we're going to be doing now, and this is what we've learned, but it really is, the whole family, every person. So if enough of us are doing this inner listening, this inner vision, if enough of us are anchoring in the spiritual dimension of life with good intention, with an orientation towards justice and goodness and sustainability for the human family and for, the great family of things, all beings in the natural world, then we can do our part, to contribute to making something beautiful out of this experience. So I think, we're in a great big collective process. And it's a great big collective journey. And if you think back, I know for myself, when I think back on some of the times in my life that have been the hardest, where things did not go as I planned or not as I expected, or, something terrible happened. It is those very moments that end up changing and shifting and nudging me in a different direction or pushing me in a different direction, and ultimately what seems like a thorn turns out to be, the rosebud. But at first it's a thorn. So that's what I'm holding in our collective process. Like, none of us wanted this to happen. It's been extremely painful. And we can sit around going, isn't this terrible? And isn't this the worst thing that ever happened? Or we can say to this experience, what am I learning? What am I understanding in a new way? In what way or ways am I shifting? My values shifting, what I care about is shifting, and allow this process to grow us in a beautiful way. So, there's a real opportunity here as we take on the journey of this moon cycle, as we transition from one year to the next, as we sit on the winter solstice, the darkest day of the year, as we, step into the new year, that we can really use the winter time to do as the trees do and go in and down. Because I really do believe whatever the new world is, the potentiality or the seeds for that are in us. And in order to identify them and to nurture them and water them and give them light, we must commit to that inner listening, to that going in and down, whatever ways. So we have several ways coming up that I think would really help with this sort of intention to really anchor into listening, anchor into our inner guidance. And ultimately, what that does is kind of illuminate the inner space. It sort of like sparks the light inside, even amidst the mystery and the outer darkness. The more we tap in, the more we see, the more we understand, and the more we ultimately grow. So this moon cycle is so fertile in that way. So maybe use it. We have several things that you could participate in if you wanted to. One, we have our Wild Woman Project circles. We have circle leaders in 23 countries all over the world, and many of the circles are right now, for obvious reasons, happening online. So you can find under this video a link to the telecircles and also to the full list of circle leaders leading public circles. In circle, there's meditation, sharing, intention setting ritual, and it's a really beautiful way to be in community at this time. Link below this video. Number 2, a week from the new moon is the winter solstice, and I'm guiding a small circle online, 25 women, and we are going to digest 2020 and begin to dream into 2021. And so that's a women's circle facilitated by me. Link below this video. Third, we have Wild Woman School on the 7th of January. And this one's called Daily Rituals for Wild Women. And we will be exploring rituals and practices and really anchoring in those things at this winter time. So I hope you'll join me for that. And last but not least, this is a big one. This is the first program that we have launched in a very, very long time, a first new one, So this February, 2021, we will do our first ever Wild Woman Project Immersion. So it's all online. It's a month long. Every Monday we will meet for class. Every Thursday we will meet for circle. Every Saturday we will meet for a joy-making session. All of these are going to be recorded, so if you can't make it live to any of the sessions, that's totally fine. If you sign up for this immersion, and there are only 44 spots, if you sign up for this immersion, you'll have access to a membership website where you'll have all the recordings, you'll have a place to connect with other women. And our intentionality with this is very much like our intentionality with a lot of things, which is to really hone inner guidance and to create an experience together where inner guidance is amplified. So in this winter time, I'm hoping through this immersion, and I have a lot of trust at this point, when we gather, it's powerful, that as we kind of approach this year 2021 and we walk steadily into the future and the mystery of that through the process of this immersion, you'll really feel sort of really anchored in your truth, anchored in integrity, and be with community of like-hearted women. There's something that happens when we're together, and it turns up the volume on guidance. So if that seems like something that you'd like to do, click the link below this video to learn more. We'll be revealing more in the coming weeks. So I suggest, if that's pulling at your heartstrings, put your email in the email box on that page, on the immersion page, and then we will reach out to you and tell you all about registration and give you more details on the program. So the registration will be announced soon. It'll likely be early in the new year. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you can join any number of those offerings. And, you know, as you drop in to this final new moon of the year, may you remember that even though we are apart, that, you know, there are so many hands at your back, so many hands of support. Even though we haven't been able to be in the flesh together this year, we have been doing deep work, all of us. So I trust that the ancestors' hands that are at our back. I trust that any guides' hands are at our back, and certainly just the Wild Woman Project community. I hope you feel the hands at your back and know that, you know, we're going to do everything we can to continue to co-create in these interesting, changing, and dynamic times. So much love to you. Thank you so much for listening. Happy new moon.